Looking for a refreshing change? Say goodbye to sluggish performance and reach for the one that won't slow you down.
That's crisp.
Experience the force of clean, pure oil coursing through your engine. No matter what you drive, Wix Filters is the clear choice. Here's to filtration that works as hard as you do. Wix Premium Filters. Performance starts here.
Like a seed planted in Ohio soil, Michael Connie knew that success takes time. It requires grit, hard work, and persistence. What began in a one-bay garage grew to revolutionize America's trailer industry. Today, Mac Trailer is a full-scale enterprise with 13 facilities and over 135 dealers across the nation. Mac Trailer supports you with a team of experts in the heart of a small-town hero. Start your legacy with Mac Trailer.
You've got questions? We've got answers. Need a pro you can trust? We have stores of that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Beck's, we stand up for things that matter most. Our faith, our independence, and helping farmers succeed. As the largest family-owned seed company in the U.S., we believe in the integrity of remaining an independent family-owned seed company. Since our founding in 1937, we have continued to produce quality products backed by a family of employees and dealers dedicated to serving American farmers. And that's something to be proud of. Beck's, founded in faith, forged in America. For more information, visit BecksHybrids.com.
Rules from Terry. 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 Rules from Terry.
Midwest Summer Nationals. Check 1 2. Are you good?
Check. Yeah, check 1 2.
Check 1 2. This is Fort Recovery, Ohio.
We're live. We're good now. We're good. Hey,
Well, yeah. Welcome everybody back here to Fort Recovery, Ohio. Session number 2 here, the Midwest Summer Nationals event here on the NTPA Grand National Circuit. Now we're going to see a Grand National class this afternoon.
right.
We also have some regional classes that are going to be running here in session number 2. So some of the regional stars are going to have their opportunity to shine here this afternoon in front of this big crowd here in Fort Recovery.
There's some iconic names in that Region 2, in any of those Region 2 classes. This is going to be a great afternoon show. The weather has been perfect here this weekend. We saw tons of action last night. I mean, Ken Vinny with that master class of a run, I mean, he just kind of showed all them guys how to do it. That's, his fifth time?
Fifth time here at Fort Recovery, picking up the win. Yep. A monster pass out there. Joe Ader last night.
Right.
Keeping his streak alive. Absolutely, yeah. Picked up his 100th career victory out on the Hillside track. And, you know, we saw in the Superstock Diesel truck class last night, Jeremy Yeager picked up his first ever Grand National win. So it's always cool to see somebody pick up their first Grand National win. It's so hard to do as we see them working the track right now. The on the mark sleds. And so 4 classes this afternoon. We'll have the regional 7,500-pound modified class. And then over on track number 2, we're going to have the regional pro stock 5.0 class. Now, interesting class here, the 5.0 class on Region 2. They're pretty big. They're a box turbo.
Right.
They run, you know, pretty popular out the other side of the river. They run out with the Outlaws. They've done that for many, many years. And then a couple years back, the NTPA decided to go with the box turbo here, the 5.0 turbo for this class. Now, we talk about the big turbos on the big pro stocks, and things kind of getting out of hand over there. So NTPA saw, you know, hey, let's make a change. Let's put this class here for the region, and let's try to build it up. So looks like we got a good field of them here. I think 10 of them this afternoon.
And the good thing about the box turbo is you basically get it out of the box. And you put
that's it.
That's it. There's no modifications that can be done to the turbo, and you're
supposed to be.
Yeah,
supposed to be.
I like the quotations on that one.
Yes.
You know, a tractor puller's always trying to find a way to get a little bit more horsepower.
Just like your Crater sealed engines in racing, same kind of thing.
Right,
you know,
right.
Cannot touch them. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. I think we've got about 32, 33 hooks this afternoon. Beautiful afternoon for pulling. Then we'll go again, once again, 7 o'clock tonight. We've got 7 classes. Tonight we've got the 5 Grand National classes, and then we'll have the regional classes. We've got the Light Pros and the Limited Pros, who put on a show last night, the Limited Pro class, Ray Hiernan. And the Red Express took the big victory out of Illinois.
His first ever win.
Yes, and a guy that I talked to him at breakfast this morning, and he says, we came down, we're not running for points this year, we're just kind of running for fun. And that's what he did. He come down here and said he's always wanted to come here to Fort Recovery, Ohio. It's one of those events that is a marquee event. And
check it off your bucket list.
That's it. He runs with the Badger State up there in Wisconsin, northern Illinois. And he says, they've got a lot of events, and he said, I just don't feel like going to them all, so I'm just kind of taking the summer. And last weekend he was out in Henry, Illinois, won a pull out there, PPL pull out there. So he's just kind of picking and choosing, and we'll see if he can double up again here tonight. That'll be good.
He was the first one in the class last night, too. And
yes.
The way that track was working last night, it seemed like in every class it got better as the show went on. But and his run wasn't what I call a stellar perfect run. It was like he was kind of up on the wheelie bars and kind of all over the place, but it paid off because nobody could touch him.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was an excellent pass. But we got tons of stuff here. We got everything in the mod class from turbines to blower motors. So if you like it smoking, if you like it noisy, we got you covered all afternoon, folks. So I guarantee you're going to see something that you're going to love here tonight or this afternoon. And I tell you, I'm looking at the light pro stock entries here. We've got them from North Carolina, Ohio, Maryland, Pennsylvania, That's a huge class. We got 19 of those in here today.
Yeah, for some reason, Fort Recovery, Ohio is a hotbed for the light pros. I know years past, I mean, we've had events over here, and we've had, pretty close to 40 entries in the light pro class. So, I mean, it's, for some reason, it just, everybody likes to converge here. It's in a good spot.
Right.
You're on the Ohio-Indiana border, and it just makes sense for a lot of these pullers to come out and run.
And a lot of these pullers, even if they're coming from east, they're making that trek, and a lot of them finish up in Bowling Green or a few pulls.
Oh, absolutely,
so
right.
They're looking at that August trek, of where I can go and where can I make my hooks and see what I can learn.
Well, also, a lot of the competitors coming out, like we've got Howard Meredith Jr. and Jeff Michelocci from out east, and they always like to come out here to the Midwest and see how they run against these Region 2 tractors. So it's always cool to see how, and then we've got some guys from out west, too. So they kind of all converge and really put on a good show. It'll be a good class, 8,500-pound class. And, once again, that's maximum weight in pulling, as we're just about ready to get rolling here this afternoon. So that grandstand track, that'll be the track over here on looking at the tracks here from the end. That'll be the one on the right. And then our hillside track will be the one on the left, as we'll check things out. They're just finishing up some final prep work out on the tracks right now. Now they're 350 feet. They've been measured out to 350 feet. The white lines, both sides of the track, have been out to 350, approximately 40 feet wide. That's our tracks and double track action here in Fort Recovery.
And it's a float and finish, by my understanding.
Usually, yeah, they have been going float and finish. We haven't seen a pull-off in quite some time. So, yeah, that's usually...
Yes.
Sadly, it is the veteran who sleeps beneath it. All gave some, but some gave all. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnson Retriever and our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight flashing, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
God bless America. Thank you, Johnson. Appreciate that. Young ladies know just how to do it and do it right. We appreciate that very well. We have vehicles lined up. I am joined once.
All right, the preludes have ended, and we're getting ready to go tractor pulling. Right now we're looking at, we're kind of looking at the back view camera. Got a great crowd out here this afternoon. It's, like we said earlier, perfect weather. Track, they put a ton of water in it this morning, which is day track is going to dry out. So the earlier you run, the better off you're probably going to be. And, we'll have to see how these mods, and we spoke earlier, we were talking about mods. Maybe by halfway to the end of that mod class, that track might be changing quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. We will see that this afternoon. Now, normally in an afternoon session like this, usually the first couple hooks, the track's a little wet, so you'll see a lot of times your test pullers, now 9 times out of 10, your test pullers in the afternoon session, they'll turn that first hook down, they'll wait for it to dry out a little bit, drop 6 positions, and then usually that's, or they'll drop the last. So that'll be interesting to see how that's going to work out here this afternoon. as the Ambassador Club here in Fort Recovery for, since 1973 have put on polls here. They definitely know how to build a track, and we saw last night, really good conditions for all the classes we saw in competition last night. So it should be a great show, and we're looking to get things rolling here in just a couple minutes. So as we see over here on the grandstand track, we're going to have our 10,000-pound 5.0 Pro Stock class. Chris Kane, now here's a guy, New Palestine, Indiana. Aces Wild, going to be our first hookup. A guy, him and his dad had run, full-blown pro stocks. His dad's still out on the national tour with the Red Gambler down in Brandenburg, Kentucky this weekend with his tractor. But Chris has kind of gone back to the 5.0 class. He says it works out better for him with the family. The kids are in sports and doesn't have to do a whole lot of traveling. And we touched on that a little bit last night. The Region Series is more or less for the guys and girls that don't want to do a lot of traveling. Yeah. Where you're on the Grand National Circuit, you can go down, North Carolina up to Minnesota.
Right.
And, if you want to run for the points, that's where you got to go. So that's the way that works out with the regional competitors. Now, over on the mod side, we've got Ken Miller out of Bellevue, Ohio. The corn and soybean special, going to be our test puller over there. And the 75 Region 2 class, when you talk Region 2, you got to talk about the Feises. Todd and Terry out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, right there on the just outside of Cincinnati. They have been multiple Region 2 champions, and they'll be definitely tough ones to watch here as we'll bring out Chris Kane, the Aces Wild tractor. Now, when you look at this tractor, same tractor that he's running the big pro stock class, just change that turbocharger up on it. Has had a lot of success down at the National Farm Machinery Show with this tractor for a few years. He was a Saturday afternoon runner. He always preferred to run the Saturday afternoon session down there, and had a lot of success in putting that tractor in the winner's circle. So Chris Kane, our test puller up here in our 10,000-pound 5.0 Pro Stock class. Yes, he'll be our test puller. Once again, he'll be the only one that will have the option to take or turn down this run. By the luck of the draw, he drew number 1 here. We'll see what he does here. He's going to spot the sled right in the middle of the track. Every competitor has that option where they can put that sled on the starting line. You'll see as that sled pulls away, there's an orange cone, and they will move it from side to side here, depending on the track conditions out there. We see just a little bit of dry dirt there at the starting line, and we'll see how this is going to work out here for Chris Kane. First hook of the afternoon here with the Aces Wild tractor.
One thing to pay attention to, watch when he leaves the line, look and see what that dirt looks like underneath as he builds the RPMs up, and away he goes.
Nice run there for Chris Kane. New Palestine, Indiana, just east of the Indianapolis area. Now, looks like they may have a reset here. I'm thinking they might stretch it out a little bit here, give the fans the best possible show here. But nonetheless, a nice hard run there for Chris Kane. You see the 24.5-inch wide rear tires on them. They're big cousins. The Super Stocks will run the 30.5s, but all the Pro Stock classes will run the smaller 24.5-inch tires.
You see how gummy that track is. Look at the dirt. He is taking that. So he has officially took that. We'll get an official distance for you in a second. But look at the dirt clumps actually stuck on the tires. So that little spray concoction they spray on these tracks to hold that moisture today. But look at that run. It was a perfect. You can't get any better than that. I mean, front end's up, settles down, just bouncing off the ground. 314.750. 314.750.
So a real good run here for Chris Kane as he will set the mark here in our 5.0 Pro Stock class here this afternoon. Good-looking John Deere coming up next year. Sean Work out of Stockport, Ohio, the full rut machine. Looks to be right around a John Deere 5020. Jerry Weissel will follow here with the Constant Conflict, and then Mark Lawyer, another one of the former Pro Stockers in our 5.0 Pro Stock class, will come up in position number 4 here.
Have you noticed kind of a common thing that I see now going on? It was always John Deere green, but you're seeing a lot of these John Deeres kind of either having a polished look or they're going for the completely blacked out look.
Well, I mean, you nostalgia fans may remember the old Bad Medicine John Deere.
Yep.
They didn't have that painted for a little while there, and kind of reminiscent there. Got the Wheatland fenders on this tractor. Good looking machine here. Sean Work
This is his first run on this tractor since it broke. So this is going to be his test to kind of see how things...
See how good their work went.
That's right, yeah. And that's one thing about this sport. This is the only place they get to try it out. You got to take it to a show and you got to run it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
there's
how you figure out whether what you did works or whether what you did doesn't, you know.
Yeah, there's no practice. There's no qualifying laps. There's no qualifying runs. This is it. This is how you test your equipment out in the competition here. We see he's got those coil-over springs up front there.
It's amazing with the horsepower increase in all these tractor classes. If they get really high up on the wheelie bars, they have so much weight on the front end. You know, they started with the skis, and now they've got airbags. You know, in that case, he's got springs just to try to absorb some of that impact if they get up really high and slam down.
Yeah, the air suspension, the air ride on these tractors, just amazing. You know how it works. You see that front end settle down at the end of the run. So it looks like the full rut here, he's going to spot that sled right pretty much the same tracks we saw Chris Kane go, our current leader in the class, 3:14.75, as that is our high water mark here early in our 5.0 Pro Stock class here this afternoon. Once again, running for Region 2 points here with the NTPA. Close.
It is.
Yeah, you see that lead distance marker over here on the left side of the track, and this is going to be awful close here. Good run. Well, their work paid off, right?
I was here to say that seemed to work out pretty good. If I did all that work, I'd be glad to see it back, get off that track and everything in one piece. That's one thing to look for. See him as he tries to build those RPMs up to get out of the ruts he dug.
You see here on the replay, real good hole shot. Now, when we talk hole shot, it's how quick you can get that sled moving the first 50 to 75 feet. And, well, good run here, 313.55, number 2 spot. As we will measure, of course, with the laser. Laser set up at the end of the track. We'll shoot the laser off the sled at the starting line as well as at the finish line. You see the prism up on top of the sled there. And, of course, here in NTPA pulling, we'll measure up to 1,000th of a foot if we have to.
Wow. And the funny thing is, we've seen distances where they were actually...
Oh, yeah, it will come down to that 1,000th of a foot.
Yep. That is amazing how... And that's one thing about all these classes now. They are so close in competition with the horsepower, how they're setting them up, and how they're running. But coming up next right now is going to be Ken Miller on the corn and soybean special.
Yeah, they've pretty much thrown the book away on this guy. Ken Miller for so many years, running very tough here in the state of Ohio. Actually, years ago, him and his brother Jim used to campaign the tractor. Jim is more or less gone into, you can see Jim down there trackside, as he's more or less directing traffic down there. He's the event director. Ken in the seat here. But years ago, they used to campaign the tractor together. They go way back. As a matter of fact, the Miller boys were one of the first to ever run the tube chassis in the modified class way back. And good to see Ken out here running here the corn and soybean special. So we'll see what he's going to do here. Our test puller in the modified class, a very strong running tractor here out of Bellevue, Ohio. Oh! Right there, you saw that front engine detonate right at the hit.
Did we lose any parts, I guess is going to be the question. That's what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, we'll check out on the replay here.
It looked like we saw some things kind of go out in the bottom. We're going to wait and see. I don't see any puddles of oil. I see a little bit out of the blow-by tube. Burst panel. Yeah, we see a little bit of fire coming out from the intake. These supercharged engines, a lot of them run burst panels on the front of them. That way, if that engine leans out or detonates, instead of that explosion blowing everything out of the bottom of the engine, it just, all that pressure goes out underneath the supercharger, and that saves the bottom end of that engine.
Well, saves us from lifting the supercharger. Right. And you see the safety straps on there, and that'll, here we go. Let's see if we can see on that replay. 73.62 the distance here for Ken Miller, and looks like, unfortunately, that's going to be it for him here this afternoon. I don't see him getting that tractor fixed.
I think we're going to see. All right, coming up right here is going to be Jerry Weasel on
Weissel. Jerry Weissel out of Roanoke, Indiana.
Yep. On the Constant Conflict.
Another guy that years ago used to run Super Farm tractors and has moved on up into the 5.0 Pro Stock class. And we'll see if he can bump the flag here. Chris Kane, our current leader, at 3:14.75. And looks like going to move that sled over just a little bit here. Now we saw the first two competitors work in the middle part of the track. He's going to move it just slight right here of center. So Jerry Weissel runs also limited pro class. We saw him in competition last night.
Just trying to find a little bit of fresh dirt, I guess.
Well, two tractors already ran down that middle, so like you said, they'll work it back and forth here. Well, nice run for Jerry, but unfortunately kind of drifted to that left side of the track here. And when that happens, you saw him on the brake just a little bit. The pullers will tell you to touch that brake. It'll definitely cost you your distance. Takes that momentum away from that tractor.
And that's one other thing about this track. Everybody I've talked to says this track pulls.
Oh, yeah, this track, yes. This grandstand track, notorious. We saw that last night here with, especially the mini rod tractors. Yeah. So as you see it right there, started drifting off to the side.
And most of the time, you wait till the last minute to hit that brake if you possibly can, especially towards the end of a run, because you're hoping you've got enough room on that track to not have to touch them.
So there you can see Chris Kane, our current leader, 3:14.75. The full rut machine, that's the John Deere, 3:13.55 in the number 2 spot here as we've run 3 tractors.
All right, what I'm showing number 2 coming up right here on the hillside lane, number 1 is going to be Don Dean on the Plumber's Nightmare. The triple engine turbine. He really doesn't need any introduction.
No, not at all. Many-time Region 2 champion. Looks like we're going to go pro stock first.
Yep.
And looks like we've got one of the Lawyer tractors here. This one, the New Era. Now, Mark Lawyer, a former pro stock competitor, kind of got away from the sport a little bit, and then when they came up with the 5.0 Pro Stock class, Mark jumped back into here. Good-looking tractor. Still got the white on the tractor. That was always the scheme that he ran on his big pros back years ago out of Newcastle, Indiana here. And they'll have another entry a little bit further in the class here. So it'll be interesting to see what Mark's got for us. Moving that sled over a little bit closer to that right side once again here. So we worked the middle part of the track. Now we're going to work it over to the right-hand side. And if you remember last night, we saw that a lot of the competitors, especially in the diesel truck class, kind of built the new road over there on the right-hand side of the track. So let's see what Mark Lawyer's got for us here this afternoon. The New Era John Deere out of Newcastle, Indiana. Once again, got to go better than 3:14.75 to take over the number 1 spot here.
I don't know. We might have a new leader. Folks, if you've watched the first part of this show here today, hope you've enjoyed it so far. Go over to fullpull.us and check us out there, $39.99 a month. Fullpull.live. And go check them out, $39.99 a month. You get to watch everything from the start of the season all the way up to this event. We got tons of events coming up. It's definitely worth a shot at it. If not, hey, go, if you got a Roku device, download that on your Roku. $39.99 a month. You can't beat the deal with all the shows that we have going on. It's going to be a heck of a show. Stick with us, folks. Switch the channel. Go to Full Pull live on your Roku device.